Alright guys, it's Randy with Amateur Game Review, and today we're going over Days Gone. And I already know what you're thinking. Hey, ain't that the zombie game that came out with a bunch of shitty reviews? As a matter of fact, it is. But right now it's free on the PS Collection, last month it was free with PS Plus, and it's about to drop later this week on PC. So I'm about to tell you why it's worth your time. So, Days Gone is a single-player, story-driven, third-person, survival, action RPG. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. It was developed by Bend Studios, the same guys who made Siphon Filter way back on the PS1. The game released back in April 2019, and when it dropped, it didn't get great reviews. Most critics buried the game, saying the story was bad, the main character was unrelatable, and that it suffered from technical issues. I'm just going to tell you up front right now that I disagree with all of those statements, except for the part about the technical issues. As far as the story goes, this game didn't exactly reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse game. It's been done a million times. But the characters, on the other hand, they were amazing. The voice actors really knocked it out of the park. And with good voice actors and characters, that's all you really need to tell a good story. You play as Deacon St. John, which, you gotta say, that's one hell of a name.
My name's Wade Taylor. You can call me Wade.
Deacon St. John.
Holy shit. Deacon St. John? Is your old man a preacher or something?
No.
Man, that is a hell of a name.
He's just your regular outlaw biker with a heart of gold. He's one of the few survivors left after the Freaker aka zombie outbreak. Yeah, I know the zombie reskin has been done a million times before. That's because it works. Alongside Deacon, you got his badass best friend Boozer, who's also an outlaw biker with a heart of gold. But he's got a pretty badass head tattoo. Deacon also has a wife named Sarah, who he was separated from the night of the outbreak. When Deacon went to the camp where he was supposed to pick her up, he was surprised to see that the camp had been overrun and everyone was dead. Alright, so the plot is set. You have 2 badass bikers just trying to survive the end of the world. But they aren't the only ones who survived. Throughout the game, you're going to run into camps. Now, in these camps, you'll be able to restock on supplies, repair, refuel, and upgrade your bike, take on missions, turn in bounties, and buy guns and ammo, depending on how well you're liked. No, it's not like a true karma system, but we'll go over that in a minute. First, let's go over the camps. The first camp you run into is Copeland's camp, ran by none other than Mark Copeland himself. Copeland is a conspiracy theorist who loves the Second Amendment and believes the only laws necessary were written in the US Constitution. Next up, you got the Hot Springs camp ran by Ada Tucker, a retired prison warden who pretty much just runs a slave camp. Then you got Lost Lake, ran by Iron Mike, an idealist who firmly believes that the only way humanity will survive is if everyone still alive can get past their differences and work together. Finally, you got Wizard Island, ran by the Colonel. This guy firmly believes that he's a prophet, that God caused a freaker virus because there is too much sin in the world, and that he needs to build an ark to protect all the science and medical data. Now, besides the camp leaders, there are a ton of notable NPCs in this game that play a huge part in the story. You got Ricky, Mike's second in command, Addie, the camp doctor, O'Brien, the neuroscientist, you got Schizo. I mean, seriously, what kind of name is that? Then you got this guy who has no name, who just randomly starts playing guitar all the time for no reason at all. Now, I want to try to avoid spoilers, so I won't dive too much into the story. But like I said earlier, the characters are definitely a strong point. They're just interesting and unique. The story isn't unique, but that's not inherently a bad thing. I mean, Deacon's an interesting character. He's likable and charming. The emotion he displays in his scenes just always works. The playable flashbacks with his dead wife Sarah did a great job of fleshing out the story and made you care about the person instead of telling you, hey, you should care about this person that you've never met. It made you really want to find out what happened to her. Okay, since we're talking about characters, we might as well bring up the most important character in the game. That's Deacon's motorcycle. Without this thing, this game would be a lot longer because you'd be walking everywhere. The bike's actually one of the cooler mechanics in the game. I mean, if you take too much damage from hitting jumps or getting shot at, it'll break down on you, and you gotta fix it with scrap. It's also got a gas gauge, you can run out of gas. This never really felt like a nuisance or a hassle because the gas and the scrap were just abundantly in the world. It just added a nice little touch. You can also purchase upgrades for your bike in these camps. You can make it faster, put some nitrous on it, get some armor so it's more durable. Ben Studios dropped some Easter eggs from their previous games in these decals. It was actually pretty cool. The coolest part about the bike upgrades is that they actually mattered. I mean, upgrading your gas tank so that you can drive farther without having to refuel changes the way that you can play the game. That also translates to the way that Deacon levels up. I don't know how many games I've played that every time you level up, the enemies around you get stronger as well. In this game, you don't even have to worry about that. Every time you level up, every time you spend a skill point, every time you get a new ability, it actually feels like your character is getting stronger. And by the time you're at the end of the game, you just feel like a total badass. Now when you do level up, you're able to upgrade either your health, your stamina, or your focus. The third stat, focus, it's essentially an ability that lets you slow down time when you're aiming at people. There's a reason they put this in the game. That's because the gunplay in this game isn't very solid. Now, I'm not going to outright say that the shooting mechanics were garbage in this game. They could definitely use some work. As far as the gun selection, it was pretty strong. There were a lot of guns to choose from in this game. They all felt different. But the melee in this game was just so strong, and the AI was so dumb that I'd rather use melee or use stealth to kill my enemies as opposed to struggle with the shitty shooting mechanics. Now, the graphics in Days Gone is definitely one of the strong points. I mean, the weather effects, the lighting, the world design, it all was just very impressive. There were so many times I was playing this game that I just stopped to look around and thought, damn, this is one beautiful game. Especially if you're playing this game on PS5 or PC, maybe even PS4 Pro. If you're playing on a basic PS4, maybe not so much. Now it's time to address the elephant in the room, the bugs in this game. I recently just replayed it on PS5. I really didn't notice too many. I mean, there's a couple frame rate drops here and there, and there'd be a couple of times I'd be driving and a texture wouldn't pop up in time. I'm not the type of gamer to hold that against the game, so it really didn't bother me. But I've heard horror stories of players trying to play this game and not even be able to get through it because of the number of bugs they've encountered. That wasn't my experience. So if you want to play this game, I would opt out for the PC or PS5 version. I really wouldn't mess with the PS4 version. Now, I hate to end this video on a bad note, but that's all I can really say about Days Gone without spoiling the entire game. I'm sure I'm leaving a ton of stuff out. This was just a general overview on my thoughts of the game. It's a hidden gem that doesn't get the credit it deserves, and it's definitely worth your time. It's dropping this week on PC for $50. I wouldn't pay $50 for it just because the game's a couple years old, but that's a topic for another video altogether. Well, thank you for watching. My name's Randy with Amateur Game Review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.